Okay, everyone, we'll get going. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Graeme Brimblecombe. I have been involved with LifeTime for 14 and a half years up until July of last year, and had a sabbatical with Tennis Australia as the National Development Squad coach in Tennis Queensland for 9 months, and I've returned back to LifeTime to the good old place. So, look, welcome everybody to a quick presentation. Mark and I have had a relationship for nearly 16 years now, and worked together for over that period of time pretty closely. And throughout that relationship and the business that we've grown, we had a number of unique programs that we'd set in place with the desire of creating tennis players who wanted to become pretty good at the game. And off the back of that, we've had success with players playing at a regional, state, national, international level, as well as a number of players who represented Queensland and Australia in different teams that they've been involved with. So one of the things that we have, after reviewing the programs a little bit when I first arrived back, one of the things that we'd had a look at was whether we'd be able to get some specific programs going in that player development area again. And when we had a look at it, we've got a very, very strong group of 9 to 12-year-olds that we wanted to sort of have a little bit more of a focus on, knowing that we've had success in doing this exact thing in the past. So I just want to share some ideas and some concepts with you, and I guess some information that if you have a desire to your child want to be good at this game, if you have that desire, some information that you'll need to have, and some of the things that we're going to try and do moving forward to be able to service those needs. This is a quick video of Emma Raducanu, just one long rally she had when she was 7 years old. So I don't know if anyone knows Emma. She was a US Open winner. This is her as an orange ball player at the LTA, and she's up the other end obviously. But just to give you an idea, I guess, of the quality of the things and the type of stuff that we're talking about moving forward. So as you can see, it's pretty high standard, and there's a number of instances where there's very high standards of young players working within the coloured ball program, and that's our goal. That's what we want to see happen, and some structures that we want to put in place to assist us in being able to get the players to work at that level. Now, that's not easy, and it takes commitment. It takes commitment from mums and dads, and it takes commitment from the players. It takes a certain personality. The personal qualities of the players are important, and to achieve those goals. But they're also important for us, because not every player that comes through our system goes on to make tennis players. And we want to make sure that there's a legacy there that helps them to be more successful in the rest of their life, that allows them to meet their full potential in no matter what they do. So I'll take you through it really quickly. So the first thing that I guess to talk about is just competition. And competition is for performance sport is the thing that drives training, it drives everything, all the development and all the work that you do with the kids. And for me, there are some strong concepts that we've got to be able to adhere to, right? The first thing is that we understand your child, understanding where your child is at, both at a playing level, at a mental level, at a maturation level, and at a physical level. So having a good understanding of where they actually sit. The next thing is having a goal that has achievable time frames for those players, and those goals are obviously long, short, and medium-term goals, but they're achievable. And to sit down with people and try and discuss those things with them. To have an understanding of the competition pathway, which I'll take you through shortly. To have an understanding of the number of matches your child needs to play if they want to have success. Keeping in mind there are some magic numbers, and I'll take you through those a little bit further into the workshop. And also the fact that they need to have a good win-loss ratio, because everybody thinks their child needs to play up and they'll get beaten all the time and they'll get better. The research shows that doesn't happen, and generally players will have between 2 to 1 and 3 to 1 win-loss ratio throughout their stint and throughout their career. Okay. Just moving on, the competition pathway, which I wanted to talk about. And most places and most players will start with some internal competitions, which you would have seen Emma playing in there probably. In Queensland here we have a lot of different team type activities, which in the younger age groups I think are really, really important. that they have there's a social aspect to their development as well as a tennis aspect and a physiological aspect. So we are going to be running some inter-academy challenges starting in about 4 weeks' time. Will be our first one. 3 to 4 weeks' time will be our first one in the school holidays. There are a number of school team competitions that we'll be encouraging the players to be involved in. There's Tennis Queensland run the Pinnacle Team competition, which is the Super 10s, and there are other competitions around those things, representative opportunities in primary schools teams, in secondary schools teams. There is a zonal trials, regional trials, state trials for all of those sort of things as well. So to try and help you through that pathway a little bit as we get more through it. The first tournament level type programs generally are your JDS programs, and you would have seen us sending information out regarding Griffith coming up. Again, if competition drives what we're doing, we need the players to start competing and start finding a reason for all the training that they're doing. In those JDSs, you've got orange, green and yellow ball. We are not probably going to be pushing people into red ball competition at this stage, because if they're at that level, they're probably haven't got the experiences and enough maturity to actually be able to compete individually at this point. So I think a little bit different. Other people will tell you to do it, and I won't begrudge people for doing it, but we would like to see our players a little bit better prepared emotionally, physically, and with their tennis before they actually engage in that sort of competition. And the lowest level of our junior series events are 1, 2, 5 events, and there'll be some 10s and there'll be some 12s that'll be in those events. So, and again, we'll keep you posted on those as they're coming around. The next levels up in the competition pathway is like I said, the junior series, and there are regional, state, and national in those junior series events, where the top 24 players from around the country get invited to the nationals, and there are 8 qualifiers that come in from a state qualifying program in each of the states as well. So Queensland gets 1 qualifier, New South Wales, Victoria, they all get 1 qualifier, so the other states. So it's really tight. And that at this stage is based on UTR, but will be based on other selection criteria moving forward, which I'm all over the top of and can help people through. As the players get better, there's open at a state and national level, and then once you start progressing in international opportunities, you're going to be looking at your ITF juniors, which we've got some players at right now up in Darwin playing some ITF junior events up there, futures, and then Pro Tour events. So, and the Pro Tour events, the top end of that are the Grand Slams, and the bottom end are 1, 2, 5, $125,000 events. So that's how they all work and are structured. The competition components for our players, right? What we're recommending they look at doing. So the first thing is for me is that players should be playing practice matches. They should be playing a little bit against each other and working for playing some things, but not to win or lose. And this is something that's gone out of our game over the last 15 to 20 years, is people don't like playing against each other because players and parents don't like losing to someone in a practice set. And they actually use the practice sets for the wrong reason. They use it to win rather than to practice working on the things and the patterns of play and the structures they need to. So it'll be something that I talk to you guys about quite a bit. Why, to try and engage with each other and get down to the courts more and try and get some practice sets in with somewhat of a similar standard. It doesn't matter if they're a little bit better, doesn't matter if they're a little bit worse, you can work on your games. Fixtures and competition and other comps, fixtures and things like Super League and GBJT and things like that. There'll be representative team opportunities, and then, like I talked about, some tournament play, which are things that we want to get done. We talked about some of the inter-academy challenges that Mark and I are looking at setting up with other academies, particularly in this space. And we want those to be larger numbers, like 8 boys and 8 girls, or in orange, and 8 boys and 8 girls in green, and try and get larger teams going off playing other teams. Again, the social aspect of this at this age is really, really important, which means that you guys have got to get on too. All right, we want to all be a big team and be a big family here, and if people have seen us over the last 10 years, we talk about the LifeTime family, and we want to grow a new family because some of those guys are leaving us now and moving on to college and university and doing their thing. So we'd like to try and start that and recreate that family environment. And based on the age and the player experience, there'll be a different breakdown for people, right? For different people. So someone of the same standard may not have exactly the same program, because it's what those players need at that point in time, right? So what their experiences are. Some of the training components. So we talk about having on-court training, right, which is the things that we do on-court with the children. The physical training, and as you saw in that little clip with Emma, this game is very physical, and it's become more so at a high end and at elite end. So we're working on building more and more of the physical component in and making it more and more relevant. You would have seen Darren in his time with your children through the coloured balls, doing a lot of work on footwork and movement. We would be the only academy that I've seen, and I've gone around to them all in my past job, that actually has a focus on that. Because there are only 4 things you've got to do really well to be a great tennis player: run, hit, play, and compete. If you can't run, you can forget about hitting because you can't get there. All right, so you've got to be able to run and move first. So Darren has done the right thing in making that a priority in what the Lifetime program is, and that will permeate through as a common thread throughout all of the other things we do as well. Right. The physical training we just talked about a little bit more. So competition program, which I discussed earlier, that's another core program. And then it's really hard, I guess, to be a high performer in anything. You've got to have the right personal qualities. You can't be average in some of your personal qualities and be really good at what you do. So for us to start to embed some of those personal qualities in the players, and I've got a nice little slide that discusses that talks about that a little bit later, done by a guy named Jonah Oliver, right? So Jonah is a sports psychologist with Tennis Australia, and he works with a number of AFL and rugby league clubs as well. He has a really interesting way of talking about things. This one here is a really important thing for you guys, a really important slide for you guys, and this is something that I did probably 4 or 5 years ago, and it was embedded in the Tennis Australia philosophy recently. So what it talks about is understanding your standard, where you are in your level, right? Understanding the amount of on-court hours that you should be doing in that level, understanding the physical work you should be doing, and then the number of competition matches that you should be playing on annually, and then how that grows. So a high-end 15-year-old should be doing somewhere between about 12 and 15 hours on court, 5 or 6 hours off the court, and about 120 to 140 matches a year, right? Which is a lot. It's a lot of tennis. It's a lot of commitment, right? So, and not all of our better players are doing that, or not a lot of our better players are doing that, and we're finding ways to make sure that the work that we're doing with them is really specific, really tailored to them, so that if they're doing less, they're actually getting good value out of their time and can compete with the American academies and the Spanish academies are doing 20 to 25 hours a week on court and another 15 hours of physical work and playing 170 matches a year. So it's one of the things that we've got to compete with here in Australia. So the on-court components and what you should be looking to do on-court in a weekly program. So obviously the squad sessions, and I have for a long, long time, and so did Tennis Australia, right? We really put them down as a premium, all right? Because they're high numbers of hours, generally speaking. The kids have got to learn to compete. They've got to learn to problem solve. There's a lot of tactical aspects to what we do, even with the younger players. I don't know if you've noticed, we're getting to do a lot of game-based sense stuff while we're actually teaching them technique and movement and the other things. And again, that's not done very often at many different places. Okay, so and my belief is this is the fastest way of getting a player to be successful in the game. Hitting sessions, so having hitting sessions with other stronger players, working on some of the things, and it might be with mums and dads initially. I know up until I was about 12, I used to hit with my father a lot. Just get out in the court and just hit a lot of balls. I think Mark was a bit the same, and got his brother and sister out and hit a lot of balls, and just doing other things, because the volume of work that you're doing, it's very difficult to do it 100% with us because of the cost and the time and all the other things, right? So we want to show you how to build a program that has us as being the center of it, and then you guys can fill in some of the spaces with the communication with other people, right? Point play, match play, so doing some point play, match play, which I discussed earlier. One of the easiest things for players to be able to do is serving and returning. It's pretty easy to bring a bucket of balls and grab a court and go down and hit some serves and work on those things, even at a young age, especially at a young age. Players get along 15, 20 minutes earlier if we've got the courts available. I'd love to see them come and ask Ike for a bucket of balls to go and hit some serves and work on it and do some things, okay? So to me, those sort of things, and they're the sort of players that we will kind of be attracted to and lean towards, okay? So, because they're trying to find a way to do more themselves. And then obviously technical sessions through privates, which a lot of the technical stuff we are trying to cover in our on-court sessions in squads and things, but just those sort of things as well. The physical components, and there's a lot here, right? To be a high-end tennis player, it's one of the most dynamic sports that your children can play, and it requires a lot of work, and it does start young, right? So we talk about movement techniques, which Darren has started off with the red ball and orange ball was on, and we're going to continue doing. Being good at coordination, having good flexibility, speed, agility, strength, all right? Power and powerful weight is something that I look for. I love to see a little child be able to hit the ball hard, because that tells me they're quite coordinated, they've got a good powerful weight ratio, and we've got a number of those in this group that we're talking about, right? So perception, anticipation skills, so reading the ball off the rack and understanding what's going to happen, where the ball might land, being better in that space. So mums and dads, if you're outside throwing balls at your children and doing things, that's good. All those little things make a difference. Aerobic capacity when they get a bit older, it's not that important now because the children run everywhere all the time anyway, and they're probably as fit as they're going to get in terms of their aerobic capacity right now. Core strength and stability, and then eventually being able to have some rehab and prehab exercises set up by physios and those sort of things. You're not there yet, so don't panic, you're not there yet, okay? But it will come. Everybody's heard about the UTR and this big UTR thing, and that's another workshop for me with you all right? Once we kind of know what people want and whether you want to be involved in a program that we're going to discuss a little bit further down the track, I'm happy to discuss that a little bit more, because the UTR is the currency at the moment that Tennis Australia are using. They went away from a ranking system. There's discussion about what's going to happen with that. But I've certainly got a very good understanding of how to best get a good result out of that UTR. So, but keep in mind also that it's a currency, and the most important thing are the matches and the learnings from those matches. It's not actually improving the UTR initially. Okay, so everybody's going, I need a 3, I need a 2, I need a 2.5, I need this, I need that. Forget about it. Get your children out playing matches, working on their games and getting better. When you're in the car going home, get them to discuss what they're going to do different against that opponent next time. Right? Don't ask them too much why they won or lost. You're going to play that opponent tomorrow, what are you going to do different? Right? Please don't ask about the win and the loss so much. Right? Get them thinking about how they're playing. So I'll come back to the UTR in another workshop. Okay, competition loads, which I showed on a bigger thing earlier. Again, at a higher end, at the very peak of the development, which are somewhere between 15 and 17, when the kids need to be doing the highest volume of their work. I know it's high school time, but somewhere along the line they need to be playing between 120 and 140 matches a year, right? So, and there is a tournament system that's in place that will allow the guys to get that many, not yet the girls. So there'll be a little bit more of a push in girls, more girls getting involved, because at the moment the girls' draws are smaller, there's not as many entries into the events, the girls' draws are small, so they don't get as many matches. So we've got to try and, as a tennis organisation, not just LifeTime, but Tennis Queensland and Tennis Australia, try and get more girls playing the game so they can get more matches. But that includes singles and doubles. Like I keep talking about, is having a win-to-loss ratio somewhere between 2 to 1 and 3 to 1. And for me, I try and use this as the basis. Before players start playing in the next level up, they can consistently make quarterfinals of the level they're in. Right? I think if they're doing that and they're doing it consistently, then it's time to move up to a different age group or a different level of event. So trying to get people to understand that. And within their 3 monthly period of say a quarterly period of playing matches, they might win a tournament. So you might put them in a lower level tournament that they win. They might finish in the middle of the draw. They might finish at the back of the draw. So they play a tournament that's way too strong for them, but they get some experiences there, right? They are able to play multiple matches in a day. So there's a thing at the moment where a lot of players, they go and play one match a day and they're tired and mum and dad want to take them home, and we need them to be able to play multiple matches, singles and doubles matches in a day, and be better at it. It's better efficiency for your time, your players' time, right? Because this is going to be the biggest thing for you guys once you start playing tournaments. Is tournaments are on over weekends, and they're not on just mornings or afternoons, they're on over the whole day. So you'll have a match that goes on at 8 o'clock in the morning, another one goes on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's pretty hard to go home sometimes between. So we've got to find ways of being more efficient and